start with a little game. Ask yourself, what did you do today? So far, sleeping longer, finally getting away from your master, and I'm going somewhere with this. Thing is, first, always a quick introduction. I'm 47, doing everything from the phone, work in multiple countries. Bam, already for more than 36 years doing this game since I was 11. What else do you want to know? Lost a couple of times, everything. Anyway, now I'm 47, almost 48, and I'm sharing my stuff for free. And I always hammer on the fact work structures. But let's do a little game, because now it's Sunday and the parks, it's also beautiful weather. All of a sudden people pop up like mushrooms in autumn, because now they're a little bit released from their master. You don't want to be there like this. But I also don't want that everybody lives a life like me. Why, Dylan? No, then it's everywhere crowded, and then I have to find a job to get rid of the masses, because I don't dance with the masses. Anyway, never disrespect. I'm always trying to reach this 1% on the planet who actually wants to do something or considers to do something, and the people who actually really want to do something is 0.0000001%. And the algorithm maybe grants me bit by bit more and more, and then perhaps those people, the 0.0000001, maybe pop up a few times, and then they maybe think, oh, that makes sense, maybe I should start thinking about my life that I don't have all the time. Like I always say, if you're 18, you're already 7 years too late, you're 7 years behind. And the thing is, I'm going somewhere with this, so hold on. I'm also drinking coffee. And this morning I did again this mental trick. So in case you're also considering to actually start running, you think about, let's lose some weight, let's get ready for the beach body, or let's make my body ready for the beach. You're slacking maybe the whole winter because it was cold outside and you were afraid to actually build a character. And by the way, I never try to say something to offend you, to make you cry. But if you cry, then you should actually look in the mirror and say, maybe there is something right about this idiot. That's the only thing that I want, that people think a little bit. I'm not pushing people, I'm not saying that you have to do things. I wouldn't earn a single nickel more or less. No, both ways. I'm actually thinking always a little bit about my words. So, but if you feel that there is something wrong, or maybe I tickled some emotions, maybe in a negative way, then I excuse myself up front. And again, this 0.0000001% actually wants to do something with their life, and not only to actually have gains for themselves, get a little bit money. Money. I need money for me, my rent and my mortgage, because I have to pay the mortgage, otherwise I will be sleeping on the street. So, I talked about this yesterday. Who holds the leverage over your life? And I also want to reach, because I have, had today also a couple conversations with very young people, and also yesterday they were in a very tough situations. And since I lived a very colorful life, we're not getting too deep into this in today's live stream, but trust me, let's say, quote unquote, I suffered more than the average person should have. But I always ask for more. Try to make me suffer now. I'm 47. When it's also about this, when people pretend that they're tough people, trust me, if you just live in your own country, your mommy, daddy are still alive, and where you're coming from, so for example, your real mother and mother and father, you got nothing to complain about, unless they raped you every single day for the past 10 years. Then you got something to complain about. Anyway, if you don't, then you don't have anything to complain about. And I speak again to those people. Yeah, I am a noob, sure, a 47-year-old noob. But I think the people who speak only negative, they have probably great CEO occupations going on, and that's why I have to say that somebody else is a noob, right? You're a CEO, I think, from a big tech company, or you run some very nice luxury watches stores, probably multiple in multiple countries, I think, because that's typical the language of those people. right? Bro, that is already an indication of a person who does not really like to engage with the world in a positive way. But not only this, pretty much probably also only takes care of himself or herself. And the people who use the word bros are in general guys, right? And I always talk about this. Try to approach anybody in this world with the highest level of respect that you're capable of, right? So if you approach everybody with bros and dudes, you probably live on a level that nobody's jealous about. And that's no disrespect, but you're probably going to change your language when you would, for example, get arrested, or you would be speaking with the president. All of a sudden your language changes because you have something to gain. And just be yourself, try to find yourself. So again, great for your comment, bro, you are noob. Oh yeah, also there's some grammar mistakes. Bro, you are noob. Okay, let me think about this. Bro, you are noob. A noob? Or am I part of the noobs? Some kind of alien species that flew in here on planet Earth. I'm at the moment in Sofia, Bulgaria. And where is this guy from? Yusef Aldiap. That sounds pretty... Nah, yeah, you know, a person with that kind of grammar, I'm not gonna try to slam you, but, you know, he has probably, you know, he's responsible for 25 employees, I think. Has at least in multiple countries, multiple locations where he runs his business. I think he does, because, you know, again, when somebody uses particular language, it comes with a lifestyle, and the lifestyle that this person leads, Yusef Aldiab F1RR, lives this life. So please, people, look for him. He will guide you through life, and not only this, he will tell you how to set up the work structures and work with people, how to communicate with people. And once you get in the money, he will also tell you how to be aware of the vultures. And it's not like, you know, for example, this person that he knows when people steals money. That is the most basic stuff. You know, I'm sharing the real stuff from real life. In the past 36 years of actually doing actively hyperactive in multiple countries. Anyway, not over here to bash you, Mr. Yusuf Aldiab FR. With all the respect, people who use negative language, I think you should really look in the mirror. And when it's about commenting, I have the amount of negative comments are so low, it's incredible. Thank you for that. And the thing is, it also tells me something about the audience that actually see and listen, really listen, or want to listen, or actually want to do something with their life, or just leave a negative comment. I wouldn't sleep less, maybe even more. Like, oh yeah, okay, less competition, because this person uses foul language. So his lifestyle is not like, you know, that he's in the growth focused period of his life. He's pretty much in trying to pull people down, which is a great thing, but I'm not in that kind of business. So we are actually opposites, nemesis. You know, you like to pull people down, I like to pull people up. And when people get pulled up, then you have to become very aware of the pitfalls. Be very aware. You know, when it's about my lifestyle, I can be wherever I want, however I want, and with who I ever want. So, and I'm sharing the work structures. But it's based on communication. If you don't like humans, and I spoke about this yesterday, you know, you can step in any kind of venture. If you're only money focused, then you pretty much stay in the traditional A to B sales stuff. You know, you start a service, maybe you want products, e-commerce store. You know, you're not capable of building a brand. If you don't like humans, you're not interested in humans, and you also don't know how to dissect characteristics that your audience has, I think you should be very careful with everything, especially when it's about negativity, because you close doors of opportunities. Always, you just close the doors. And again, if you really look at his sentence, and I'm not over here to bash, but I'm just always interested in people, their behavior, whether it's positive or negative. And I'm dealing with a lot of people of society, so I'm used to a lot of stuff. But when people, their grammar is totally, let's say in this case, like a noob, let's say, because people cannot see what this person writes. He writes, "Bro, you are noob." That means, you know, the way he wrote, of course he forgot here and there some words, maybe a dot, maybe also a capital, but the thing is, you are noob. Like I'm a species. He makes, I don't know, maybe I'm part of the noobs, the noob tribe. I like that. I really like that. Noob. Could be an shortage for something. It stands a little bit for something very positive. You know, noob. N-O-O-B. What would it stand for? You know, just try to use a little bit your curiosity level and raise it every single day. Just try to absorb the world. And again, I think it's fantastic. Bro, you are noob. Makes my day. Anyway, so this morning when I did my run, that's what I actually stopped talking when this wonderful CEO person from a country probably where people go, no, I'm not gonna get into this, but according to his name. But anyway, I think I did 12 kilometers, and the thing is, trust me, I wasn't in the mood at all. And I'm always giving this tip. For me, when I just put on my running shoes, put on my pants, I always tell myself I'm only gonna do 5 kilometers. That gets me actually off my ass. But yeah, on Sunday it's always slaughter day, so I'm also gonna do calisthenics. I'm doing it now separately, but normally I do the running combined with the calisthenics on Sundays. Sunday is always slaughter day, so on Monday totally brain dead, and then we move, push it every day, push it. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm also trying to avoid a lot of people because it's very busy, and I never want to put other people on the camera. I'm not chasing people, and I actually thought about it. When it's about my content, there's a couple of things I think it's pretty unique about my content. I only speak from experience, I speak from the heart, I use my mind, and I try to reach this 0.000000% that, you know, wants to put the middle finger or give the middle finger to their boss, and actually not only serve themselves with a nice regular paycheck, but also a little bit the area that they live in. Those are the people that I try to reach, and those people are very rare. Obviously, my network, or every person in it, they are serving their community. They actually do something very, very remarkable. And it's not to brag. I simply built this circle of people, network of people, by simply sticking to a set of boundaries, and then the rest will come. You can never slam your fist on the table one day and say, "No, I want better friends," people who are actually doing something with their life. That's not how it works. Lead by example. And that's not leading other people. You just have to lead yourself. Better habits. Stop crying about your ankles that are hurting or whatever. You know, people come up with all kind of stuff. Let me think about the excuses that I heard from some of the people on the calisthenics spot. One guy even blamed it on the milk that he was drinking and that the milk was fake. So, you know, you can see the level of this. And not to bash him, it's actually a nice guy. He's actually the perfect white guy, 180 something, blue eyes, blonde hair. But yeah, the character. I see a comment, "Hey homie." So I'm actually avoiding the people now at the moment. Yesterday I forgot my push-up bars somewhere, but I don't know exactly where. And somehow it makes me totally nuts, although they only cost 6 euros. I'm here in Bulgaria. Those push-up bars, you know, you can see the exercises that I'm also doing with the push-up bars. Those, you know, mobile things, portable. You can put them in your backpack and you can train everywhere. So there is no excuses possible anymore. Also, if you look at my calisthenics playlist, you can see the hundreds and if not thousands of exercises. So you can choose and pick. But this is the thing, when it's about the calisthenic stuff, I also spoke about this yesterday. I don't swing like a big wild baboon. You know, I just want to focus on the most gains from each single rep. And this is also what I said yesterday. Don't be afraid to ask. You know, there are so many people on the calisthenic spots. And yes, I spoke about this yesterday, but probably most of the people didn't see it yesterday, so I'm going to mention it again. If you do it already for multiple years and you still walk around with a beer belly, and you know that there's a guy who actually made thousands of videos, and also, you know, you can, and I'm not bragging over him, just saying I'm almost 48, and I think every year I'm going to be in a better shape than before. But you know, just ask. A question, you know, well, sometimes I also wonder, and a lot of people are simply afraid to ask. And it's not about, I don't think that it's only respect for somebody else's time. In general, here in Bulgaria, that is the case. I know, you know, when people sometimes look a little bit and then they walk around, and then I just walk upon them and then I say, just ask. You know, you don't have to try to get somewhat my attention. I'm always looking around, I'm always looking people in the eyes, you know, I'm always engaging with the world, so it's very hard actually for me not to get in contact with people. But I'm also doing this for a living. You know, I'm obsessed with engaging with the world, you know, making people feel good. I actually bought this coffee from one chain, it's called, I'm gonna say it, the Mini Mart. In the majority of those locations, the people are also very nice, I have to say it. And I always like to do a little chit chat with my very broken Bulgarian, but always try to make people feel good. And you know, if I sometimes cannot come up with the words, I just wiggle a little bit or just make them a little bit smile, you know, make people feel good. Yeah? And again, when it's about this other guy, you know, who said, bro, you are noob. It's like, you know, it's like you know, like in the old days, the knights. Now you're a knight. This guy says, bro, you are noob. It's maybe even a very high level kind of position in life. Bro, now you are noob. He actually should have said, bro, you are now, hereby I will declare you are a official noob, part of the noob clan. Wherever you will operate and where you will fail, the rest of the noobs will help you out. I don't know, just coming up with something. But when it's about noob, I think it's an interesting thing, because when, you know, noob, maybe it stands for something besides, of course, the negativity. You know, N-O-O-B, where can it stand for? Like a, you know, like the shorteners, A-C-A-B, you know, it stands for blah blah blah. But you know, can also turn it into all chicks are beautiful, right? So noob maybe stands also for something very, very positive. Totally the opposite. And then we bash all the people who, you know, do all the negative things, noobs, and then it's actually a worldwide known, very positive thing. People that actually want to be called noobs. Anyway, totally irrelevant. This is a Sunday live stream. I just do a little bit random rattle and daddle. I'm also totally hyped up because I came actually now from the shower. Totally irrelevant information, yes, but what the thing that maybe is a tip when you consider to run, just say I'm just gonna do 1 kilometer, just one, you know, in case you start, just say I do 1 every single day, 1. Don't think that you have to run and straight away 5 or 10 or 25. Don't do it, because you're not going to do it every day. You're going to do it maybe once per week, or maybe even 4 times a year. Doesn't put any doesn't put you in a better position, physically and also not mentally. Do something every day and choose the right amount. You know, just start doing stuff. And if you start doing stuff, just see where your level of pain a little bit further. Don't live by the 7 times rule. I live by the 7 times rule. If you think you cannot, you know, this is some kind of from one speech of a guy, you know. I'm also listening to it sometimes. Before I did constantly, you know, brainwash myself. And I think the title, and I think you can also find it on YouTube, the 4 tactics, blah blah blah. It's all about the lot of famous Navy SEALs. They speak about a lot of their experiences, but one rule, it constantly sticks in my head. Another classic one, you know, that you have to make up your bed and come back, also sticks in my head, and I'm not doing it. The one that I'm living by, and it still always freaks with my head, and maybe that's why, maybe it's also one of the reasons. Not only that I found my purpose at 47, almost 48. The thing is, if you think you're done or something like this, and you can do 7 times more. I think that is a Navy SEAL saying. I could be totally wrong, but you know, I'm performing 18 hours a day, try to spell as good as possible, and I'm sharing the work structures. Within 6 days, the case study will be available. The first one, I'm sharing 3 case studies that can be duplicated by a 12-year-old, so you can gain and learn and earn. And not only this, you will be building trust, and then in the end you can actually claim equity. Can be done in any industry, etc, etc. Again, I started selling when I was 11, and not only this, I did a lot of offline businesses, offline projects. The thing is, I'm not some kind of internet nerd who says set up an Instagram page and the rest will follow. No, for me it's all about humans. Approach everything as humans. I also customize all my money machines, back-end money machines, with any kind of business that I work with. Like I also said before, nobody has leverage over me. If somebody says this and this, you have to, doesn't work like this. I'm not attached to anybody or anything, and that is not to brag. I just want to try to explain people that it's possible. A lot of people who get into business, they look around, or maybe I should start a store. Been there, done that. The thing is, not necessary, and you will earn way less. The only time, of course, when you got a few million to spend, or you take a loan from the bank, blah blah blah, that's all nice and good, but it's not necessary. Not necessary. And I think if you focused on personal growth, mental growth, physical growth, and the whole shebang together, then maybe, you know, consider to subscribe. Maybe you pick up 1 or 2 things and the rest is bullshit. You will say, what an idiot, what a total idiot. But I never see him in an office. I never see him going to his job. What the hell is he doing? You know, try to focus on what I'm actually not doing. Especially this guy, Yusuf Al-Diab, does something. Bro, you are a noob. First of all, he spent way too much time on school. And nothing against school, but I never was a great one at it. But I know when people spell things the wrong way. And if you in the negative business, and I also talked about this, I think it's fantastic, then go all the way. I also talk about this all the time when it's about the young neo-Nazis. You know, I shake hands with neo-Nazis and they always say, yeah, you're totally insane. The thing is, when it's about the younger people, they always need to operate in groups. You know, dress up in the best clean neo-Nazi outfit, clean, tight. But when I walk into them separate, not that I would hurt them, but then I always bend over, you know, because then they're not so tough anymore. And it is not to brag, I'm just trying to make people think. Look in the mirror. Just look in the mirror. Do you need your boys around you to hate people like me? And by the way, this is the beauty. I'm raised by white people. My parents were whiter than most people, their parents. Why? Because my father, as long as I knew him, my adoption father, he always had gray hair. Shebang. Think about this. So if your father has brown hair or whatever, and you think that you have to hate me for my color, then think twice. And not only this, I don't have the behavior of, see, I was born in Indonesia. I don't have the behavior of an Indonesian guy. I don't think so. I try to hang around. When I lived in Malta, I tried to hang around with Indonesian people. With all the respect, they're not my kind of people. I'm raised in Holland. All great. More than grateful for it. Otherwise, I would be probably sitting under a palm tree smoking cigarettes and get very soon lung cancer. The thing is, so I'm very grateful for it. But now I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria for one reason. I feel over here for the first time in my life at home. You know, my family, I never knew my real family, and my adoption parents are dead. So, and I'm not saying this to brag or whatever, to play the sad little puppy ticket or card. No, I'm just giving you a little bit more feedback why I speak from reality, why I'm always hammering on time is ticking, time is ticking. Time is ticking. And again, if you think you're 18, you're 7 years behind, just go. And I also spoke for a few days ago with a guy. He wants to do something with his own life, of course, quote unquote want, but I had time, so I spoke with him. The thing is, he said, yeah, my parents, they want me to go to the university and blah blah blah. And the thing is, that is all great, but you know what, make them angry. Just go against the whole thing. The time that they're gonna be angry at you, maybe a few years, maybe they're gonna kick you out of the house, but you know what, just go all in and just survive, and just show them the opposite, that you can do it. They're gonna hate you for a few years, but you know what, when it's about me leaving school, at one point I was sitting in a marketing class and I said, what a bullshit. I got up and I said bye bye. I drove away on my on my Gilera in Holland and said bye. But of course I had a little bit of panic attack. So what I'm going to tell at home, you know, because at that time my parents were still alive. And the thing is that my father, he had the best response. He said, you can do whatever you want, but never ever take a welfare check. And he made that very clear, and I never disappointed him. You know, and trust me, I lost a couple of times everything in my life, but also in multiple countries. But anyway, besides that, that is something that always stuck with me. Of course, multiple things that he said, you know, but never ever take a welfare check. And they were, of course, a little bit shocked that I just came home one day and I said, you know, I left school. Because I think it's totally bullshit. And the thing is, when it's about that specific marketing class, or it was about economics, I think it was marketing. And the thing is, you had to work in a group. Well, first of all, see, I lived already a pretty colorful life. The thing is, I was sitting with a bunch of normal people, and we had to discuss you had to work with 4 people in a group and try to talk about one single topic. Now, I want to speak about things that were very going on in Holland. So there was ecstasy. I want to speak about ecstasy. I also organized parties, but besides that, it's a whole different topic. The thing is, those people say, oh, that is illegal and blah blah blah. Yeah, see, there you go. They want to talk about very normal stuff. I don't know what, some kind of normal people company. Great, but there is a lot to learn from a lot of different things outside your normality. I always speak about this, you know, open your freaking eyes. Open your freaking eyes and ears. Respect everybody for what they're doing. You know, also, you know, and I'm not saying this to brag or to say, oh, I'm such an angel. But you know, I also organize for the homeless people in the weekends drinking. And not only this, over here around Christmas, I drink vodka with the homeless people. So, you know, and I'm always listening to their stories. And I spoke, you know, I also spoke with a lot of homeless people, but some, they were incredibly smart, very smart. And I learned a lot from those people. And of course, I'm also sitting with the total opposite, you know, but also, yeah, I cannot say too much about some people from specific levels. But anyway, besides that, have an open mind. You never know who comes up with the next, or who sparks the next idea in your mind, right? You never know. Even a 12-year-old can say something that sparks in your brain something, You know, when I speak with children, always the parents are around. I always hammer on this so people can never say after thousands of videos, yeah, but over there you said you speak with children. And oh, Jesus, Mamma mia. Oh. Little doggy. So in the meantime, so that's clear. So also over there are now a lot of children. Over there a lot of cars. I'm actually considering to stop live streaming because I think when it's about my videos I will always speak alone in front of the camera. And not only this, I will also never chase other people, you know, putting people on the camera and say, hey, what are you doing over there? Because I gave this example before, right? So people who travel to other countries to make other people mad, putting on the camera, of course you get millions of views. But I can give you one tip. One tip. Go to the local malls where people are working, you know, in office jobs and eat pizza and burgers. Well, they're robbing themselves from having a clear mind, right? Put them on camera and trust me, those people get angry too. So in case you in the business of making people angry, you know, a lot of people are get millions of views because people do love emotion, whether it's good or bad. And I think the amount of people that prefers, you know, mad people, disappointed people, crying people, people who get angry and then slam beer bottles on people their heads, they get way much more views. Reality talks like mine will over time, you know, going somewhere. The thing is, for me, this is not a money venture, not at all. Just more a filter mechanism, an extra compounding thing, because normally I do this kind of talks every single day. I already did my talks today. I also have very dry lips from the speaking now, and in combination with the coffee. The thing is, I'm actually thinking which way to go. So for me, I will do this probably till the end of the days. And the final live stream was when I'm going to die. And I talked about this before, you know, when I'm going to die, I make everything public. That includes video calls. And by the way, it will only include all the video calls that people give me the permission to share when I'm dead. So I got, let's say, another 53 years to go. I'm 47. So when I'm 100, go off the planet, say bye-bye, and then I give people access. And can you imagine, you know, I do a lot of things with AI. Of course, I'm not making those faceless videos because, yeah, that's nice. But at one point, probably it's going to be, you know, drowned as well. Those are nice strategies, probably temporarily loopholes. Maybe you get monetized by Google, but it's a matter of time. It's simply a matter of time that you, and that it stops. That's what I believe. Who am I? I'm just a nobody. And what I always say, nobody's perfect. Anyway, it's spiritual venture. Life is pretty spiritual, but not for everybody, I think. A lot of people are afraid to look in the mirror and speak about what they actually do with their life. And that's what I always try to people entice to, you know. Like I always say, I could sit in Malta between the islands drinking cocktails, sitting in front of me with a laptop with a big apple on the back, and say, this is life, this is what you need to do. Buy my $27 course or my $47 course, and for $257 you can actually speak with me private, and you will get access to a lot of millionaires. Blah blah blah, bullshit. It's all nice. I'm giving everything away for free. Work structures, and I always hammer on this, work structures. People don't like work, so it scares away a lot of people, and I give everything away for free. Only people who like to put in the work will not be scared away, but next to that they also would value something. You know what it is? If you look at my stuff, it's consistency, persistency, and I actually never ever change my authenticity, because you will see that I speak the same as from my hundreds of videos before. Now I'm only doing live streams, and I'm clipping here and there. I'm doing this with AI, and I'm not using the classic Opus because I don't use public tools. That's why my work structures are evergreen, uncapped. Uncapped means, you know, the more work you put in the beginning, the bigger it gets. Now I'm actually in the expanding phase of my life. And the last time when I lost everything was 41, and I built everything very structured. And, you know, when AI came around the corner, I thought, this is it. Got rid of a lot of people straight away. Anyway, I want to deep dive into Sofia. Sofia, Bulgaria is for me like Disney World. I've never been to Disney World, but you know, like I said, in Sofia I feel at home. And no matter the tiny percentage that would hate me for my color, I don't care. And I always say, before you act, do your research. You know, I'm a little bit longer than most people over here. You know, I'm more than 17 years ago I came here with nothing, because when I was 30 I lost everything in Holland. So all the people in Bulgaria who say, yeah, because you know I'm in Bulgaria and I cannot do anything with my life, I came over here to rebuild my life. I lost everything in Holland. I just took one business car, and at that time my girlfriend, we drove 27 hours straight from Holland to Bulgaria. Bam! Dressed up, took a shower, got drunk. Is that the best decision? No, but I'm just giving you a little bit of insight that most people would not be able to drive, let's say, 24 hours. You know, and this is again not to brag. I'm just doing it. Whoa! I'm actually looking now at one of the comments. I'm always interested in people that use the names. Daram, Veer, Single, Bum 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 5315. Bam! Can I introduce myself? I am Daram, Veer, Single 5315. Okay, 100 years. Bruh, Skynet won't let us live that long. Well, if it's gonna be time, then we gotta go, right? When it's time to go, we gotta go. And if it would be like this, then you know, the stuff that I'm saying, the time is ticking. And I see, the thing is, whatever. No, not whatever. But you know, everybody has their own beliefs. I just believe we live now, and I try to optimize every day, every single second that the 18 hours that I awake. I'm actually today way much longer awake. I couldn't sleep because you know I'm just like a little child between 11 and 12. I force myself to close my eyes and then not try to get hyped up by anything or anyone, their video calls or whatever. I'm just closing my phone, and then I get up at 3:15 and then I already see ting ting ting, and yeah, then I just get into it. And you know what, as long as my hearts keep beating, I take advantage of it. And when Skynet is coming around the corner. Skynet, that sounds familiar. Isn't that the Terminator stuff? Right? Skynet. I watched the Terminator when I was young. What year actually? I think that is a pretty old movie, right? Terminator. I don't know. Let's don't get into movies. Because when it's about movies, you know, for more than 6 years I did pretty much every day the work studying Hollywood movie scripts, watching and learning from this guy Michael Hart. He also approved a lot of Hollywood movie scripts, so just Google it. Very interesting, and pretty much ruined every kind of movie because you can predict a lot of movies that's based upon, you know, structures. Love it. Anyway, I want to deep dive into. Wait a minute, somebody says yes. Oh yeah, I talked about the Skynet. If I'm not wrong, when it's about this Terminator thing, isn't it from 84 or something? No, that's not possible, right? Not 84, maybe a little bit later, maybe 87. Because I remember that it was on television in our days. You know, we had a button on the television. I'm from 87, so I can. Oh, 94. Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. 94. So then, oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, I actually thought about, you know, people actually posting now these days, what did you do in the 90s? Well, at that time, you know, I went to big house parties. And the thing is, 94 Terminator. Was it Terminator 1? Was that the first one? And also there was way much more Terminators, right? How much are there? 6? I think I only watched, I think Judgment Day was, yeah, okay, maybe because I was used to the first one, then I watched the second one. I thought that one was pretty impressive. Yeah, maybe I'm a total idiot, I don't know. You know, and maybe the head. And this is also what I think many times, those young people these days, for example, the Spider-Man movies, right? That looks so ridiculous, fantastic, I think. I remember when I was very young, I think 7 years, and then something popped up, something also about Spider-Man. I'm not sure, but you know, if you grow up in this time or era, you know, if you grow up in this era that we live in now, the superhero movies, if you grow up with this, you know, they make it so real. I think it is fantastic, huh? And that's why I'm also doing everything from the phone, and because I'm every day amazed, you know, how powerful those phones are. I'm from a time, you know, my first computer was a Commodore 64. You know, tick, 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 and then you have to load a game with a cassette, tick, tick, and then it failed the last few ticks. There was always a counter on the thing, and then it stopped working. Well, Bruce Lee was my hero. Wow, Bruce Lee. So yeah, when it's about Bruce Lee, I remember that I watched that movie in this tournament thing. You know, you had the very bad Chinese guy. No, not saying that the Chinese people are bad. I'm just, you know, this. Oh no, that was Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme. This big Chinese guy, and then he killed some guy, and also in a tournament. Did this Van Damme guy also, Jean-Claude Van Damme? Did he also make a tournament fight movie? You know, people die and then people get angry at each other. And then they go for revenge, the classic movie, and then the villain, you know, jumps in the air and steps on somebody's chest or neck for revenge. That was actually always Enter the Dragon. Yes. I remember that title. I watched that movie also on VHS. You know, we had actually a video recorder. There was a big gray cube, and then on top, click up, and then you put the cassette in, and then Enter the Dragon. What I was always fascinated by, you know, because every Wednesday my mother took from the groceries also a video from the videotheek. It's called a videotheek in Holland, I don't remember. But I always was fascinated by the front of the VHS, you know, how it presented the movie, and then you read the back, you know, this and this, the character and blah blah blah. I think that was always very, very nice. I think I enjoyed in general more, you know, building it up in my brain. You know, what is this movie about? Yeah, reading the back, the actors, and then you see people like Van Damme or this guy. What is this name? Rambo. This Rambo guy, you know. Rambo 1. I think I watched that one also on television. And actually Rambo 2, yeah, Rambo was pretty hyped up, the first one. I'm not talking bad about it. It's of course a great, it's ridiculous, you know, this guy, you know, this Stallone guy, you know, that he come up with this kind of stories, and then he comes up with this story, this Rocky guy persona, right? It's fantastic, right? You come up with a persona and you play the guy. That's genius. That there is a reason for that. People had so incredibly high level rich. You know, I don't think that they're only money rich, but also mentally and, you know, well spoken. But not only this, think about this. You write a whole movie, you're gonna play the thing, and you're the character, and you're gonna act. You imagine that you're gonna react on this the way you actually wrote, and then you visualize it and you put it in a setting. You know, those are things that are incredibly fascinating. Bruce Lee was bit raw. Jet Li. Jet Li. Jet Li is with this, also with DMX, right? They made a movie also. What was that name also again? Jet Li with this, with DMX. And when it's about DMX, I really enjoyed also Belly. I don't know if Belly, that movie. I watched that movie over and over on VHS also. Menace to Society. Those are not the right movies to watch when you have some aspirations. But anyway, I really enjoyed. And Blood In, Blood Out. That movie I devoured over and over. And one last movie thing. I love Mr. Deeds with Adam Sandler. I had that one on DVD. I had it on VHS. over and over, because that is when it's about feel-good movies. I prefer, and you know, when it's also about the older movies, when it's about the older movies, you could see who's the villain. You know, not all that sneaky stuff. You know, now things are so sophisticated, and it's of course great that you can put it on camera like this, more than enough praise. But this is the thing, now are people so extremely mean, you know, that they're villains and try to destroy the world in a way that is totally above and beyond. They're also extremely intelligent, those personas, but I also think, you know, those people who write those scripts, they are insanely intelligent also. If you come up with that kind of stuff, how somebody needs to act and what they say to build some sort of, you know, tension. Oh yeah, Sylvester Stallone and Rambo. But again, you know, those people are genius, right? Come up with a story, and then also that people like the story, and that you also present it the way that it actually resonates with the people. And when you talk about this Rambo guy, you know, this whole persona with this red band around his head, and then this big knife, those are, you know, those are iconical things, right? If you would have to buy that specific knife or the red band, it will cost you millions, I think. I don't know, I'm not into collecting those things, but you know, that the story, I think that is really, really, really admirable. You know, what is going on with those people, you know, sitting down, of course, you know, they visited their own demons as well, but you know, and then come up with that kind of stuff. I think that is incredible, and that it also resonates with people, that people can see, oh, he's the hero, then we need a villain. Who was actually the villain in the Back to the Future? Oh yeah. Oh, Mamma Mia. Oh, this is the thing, about the Back to the Future, the trilogy. Oh my God. The thing is, see, I'm gonna say it how it is. See, I always have, let's say, girlfriends half my age, and I'm not saying this to brag, simply because I don't resonate with people of my own age. So that's the thing. So I let somebody else also watch Back to the Future 3 of the whole trilogy, and that woman also said, that's insane. And trust me, and for those younger generation, those movies are pretty outdated. But I think, you know, if I would watch it again, I should watch, then I would watch all 3 movies in one row. You know, it's one big movie. And when it's also once I had a thing about Star Wars, the first 6. Well, then I also thought this what is the guy who actually made George Lucas, right? Who also a genius. And it's not that I'm trying to lick anybody's ass or, you know, try to mention names to get clicks. The thing is, those people are geniuses. If you really look at those movies, come up with that kind of stuff. Robots, Jedis, a Jedi. Who comes up with a word like Jedi, and it also resonates with people. You know, a green guy in a swamp. In a swamp, you go over there, and there's this guy, Luke Skywalker. He goes over there, lifts a plane. I don't know the exact story anymore. I don't remember, but I think it was genius. And not only this, the last part, and I think it goes reverse, right, from part 6 to 1 or the other way around, but in the end it makes sense, right? The Star Wars the first 6 movies, and then you watch the last one that came out, it makes all sense. Now then I think you're so aware, far ahead of the herd, that is above and beyond. But I think that's also the reason that millions and millions of people are also totally addicted to Star Wars. And can you imagine that you wrote a freaking story, that you wrote a freaking story, and then people go to cosplays and dress up like the Wookiee guy, or Wookiee, I don't know, this guy with his lot of hair, and Luke Skywalker. That people, and you know, and also when think about this, come up with a lightsaber, and come up with that kind of stuff. Lightsaber, how do you come up? And also I watched also once a video, you know, that how they produce the sound of a lightsaber, and that's also another thing. You come up with something that doesn't exist, and then you come up with a sound that actually fits. Well, I think that's insane. Wait a minute, I have to wait a little bit because people are over here, but I think that's insane. Geniuses. So what else is actually a great movie? So Star Wars, Back to the Future, yeah. Back to the Future was very, very impressive. Mamma Mia, the first time that I watched it. And then we watched it on television, and part 2, that was mind-blowing. And then you see a little bit teasers of Back to the Future 3. You're totally hopping in your chair and you think it's coming. And to be very honest, I think Back to the Future along the way got better and better. You know, it was never disappointing. At least that's what I think. And then they go to the Wild West. It's freaking insane. I think that is something, you know, to dig in the minds of those people. It's insane. They see the world probably in a way that is so admirable. And that's also what I think about actors, you know. Those people also, they're also I think they're the better humans for one reason. They, you know, they play around with emotion, and in combination with body language and tonality, people just speak a whole different kind of dialects, you know. What kind of, and those are skills that are very admirable. But on the other hand, you know, you also need to have some sort of limit, right? You know, if you play so many rules, this tall black guy, what is his name? Samuel Jackson, you know, how many movies did he do? Clint Eastwood movies. Dirty Harry, right? That was actually the first one, Dirty Harry, that I watched from Clint Eastwood. Yeah, there's also, Clint Eastwood is also the kind of guy he can pretty much play himself. That's another thing, right? Actors who just can play themselves in a movie. There is also one comedian guy with his brown curly hair. Every comic movie that he pops up in, you know, he's pretty, I don't remember his name, but he always plays some sort of hillbilly guy, you know, always a little bit rude but also funny. You know, that is also very admirable, that the balance between being, let's say, rude, don't give a shit, and he also does a lot of movies with Will Ferrell. But Will Ferrell is also one of those people, right? They can play themselves and then still, you know, make blockbusters. Yeah. Anyway, we're going a total different direction, but still, movies are, it's insane, right? Working with a big budget, yeah. And like I said, you know, I studied a lot of stuff. Oh, Jim Carrey. What was the first movie that I watched from Jim Carrey? I think it was The Mask. Or I think Ace Ventura. And I think Ace Ventura 2 was better than 1. But I'm not 100% sure. 1 was with the dolphins, I think. Number 2 is where he crawls out of a rhinoceros, you know, out from the ass. Or that he is with the Indians, then they spit each other in the face. I watched that scene over and over. Just rewind again. You know, smoke a little bit something and then watch it over and over again. Ace Ventura. I think he was also peaking at those days, Jim Carrey, right? He was really peaking. The highest level of energy that I think, what I think that he actually did in any kind of movie, right? Or The Mask. Over there, he was also totally insane. In a very good way. Yeah, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I really enjoy those. There is actually 1 and 2, right? You know which one was also very nice? The Animal. With Rob Schneider. And I'm always, you know, I was always looking in how can somebody act like this, right? Rob Schneider in The Animal, I think was fantastic. You know, a person, if you can act like this, like a goat. You know, he sees a goat somewhere in the field and then he's gonna, yeah, I think The Animal is also genius. Rob Schneider. Which the movie that I also really enjoyed was Big Stan. Big Stan with Rob Schneider. Yes, man. Yeah, I think I did. That is also Jim Carrey, right? I'm not 100% sure, but probably I confuse it with Liar Liar. Or is that Yes Man? I don't know. But then he has to say constantly yes. I always confuse those movies. I don't think that I ever watched The Yes Man. I watched The Liar Guy, that he cannot lie. I think it was also fantastic. They always know how to take the cutest little kid. You know, that is also something, right? The people who are actually taking care of the casting, those people also have ridiculous amount of talent. because they see somebody in raw form, right, and then I have to perform a little bit, and then they think, oh, if we shape it up a little bit, he can be the perfect character for this and like this. You know, like the guy from Home Alone, you know? Oh, was that the older movie? Lie, yeah. But you know, when it's about Home Alone, you know, somebody wrote the script, find the kid, and then that kid is the perfect kid for playing the role, and then he becomes so incredibly an icon. You know, a person can become an icon only based upon something written, right? Something from somebody's mind. And I think that is so fascinating. That is really fascinating. Who comes up with this shit, right? Home Alone, you know? Yeah, Home Alone, 2 burglars. But also, again, when it's about those older movies, it's not like they're really mean. You know, the burglars, they were not, you know, that they, you know, I'm never into those torture movies or whatever. But those movies, when I watched some kind of teaser guy on YouTube, then I think, whoa, that is going very, very far. Or something with a witch, you know, that they put a crow and they take somebody's eyes out. I think that I'm not into horror thing because it makes me uncomfortable. I don't watch stuff that makes me feel uncomfortable. I only want to watch stuff that makes me feel good or very impressed, like a little visual. And I'm not a guy who goes to the cinema or something. I did once, maybe 2 years ago, because somebody wanted to go, and I said, okay, I'm not really enjoying that because I prefer to watch it in my own, if I ever watch. Now I don't watch any television. I don't have even a television because I got other things to do, but they turn into a funny movie, yeah, with someone, and they turn, yeah, in a funny movie. But that is also, again, genius, right? Okay, now you got a kid, then 2 burglars, and they don't seem very violent. You know, how you come up with this kind of stuff? I think that's genius. If you can write those things down, how a character should act, also how they have to look from out of their, using body language. Who was this guy actually who played the tiny guy? Not Danny DeVito, right? Or this from the burglars, this tiny guy. Was he Danny DeVito? No. Or Joe Pesci, right? Yeah. And then the tall guy. That duo is also iconic, right? Again, iconic. They really put people together that are iconic. It's insane. It's really insane. I could go on and on, but I think is really insane. I also watched, you know, this Elvis movie on Netflix. I don't have Netflix. I'm in Bulgaria, so you download it. And I watched that movie very quickly. Just zip through it. I don't have the patience anymore to watch movies, but very impressive. Very impressive. And when it's about this Tupac movie, I never watched it. I don't feel like watching that one. But the Elvis movie, very impressive, very fast. Netflix, I think, has very fast-paced movies. He also did a song with Michael Jackson. Who? The McCulkin guy? Yeah. Oh yeah, he did a little bit of dance thing, right? Which song was it actually? But yeah, that's what I mean. So look, so this guy, there was one person who writes a script for a movie, then they find the kid who can play the role, and that kid starts to hang around with Michael Jackson. Well, that is insane, right? That's insane. And what written words can do, a script. Okay, maybe they use the computer, but you understand what I mean, right? Just somebody else's fantasy can resonate with somebody else. And I think in order to stay creative, also when I look at myself, you know, I'm constantly engaging with the world. You know, if I would just only focus on my salary at the end of the month and blah blah blah, which I don't have, you know, because I'm doing everything. But we're not getting into my business structure. But the thing is, you know, in order to stay creative and just do things, you know, I'm really curious what are the habits of those people who create that kind of movies. And would they walk around? Oh yeah, black or white, yeah. That was actually a very nice song also. Oh, when it's about Michael Jackson, I actually thought about it, about Michael, and I'm not kidding you. A few hours ago, I was thinking about Michael Jackson. Why? I'm gonna tell you. The thing is, because I was always a big fan. I had a big flag above my bed, and I collected pictures. And I asked everybody, can you cut out the pictures from magazines and give it to me? And then I put them in one album. The thing is, that was the real first thing about what, you know, like Pinterest. Now you can collect pictures very quickly, but in my days, you know, you had to engage with people. Can you please, you know, collect those pictures from this and this magazine if you find Michael Jackson pictures? Michael Jackson, phew, you know, I went to that movie Moonwalk or Moonwalker. No, I think it was Moonwalker or Moonwalk. I don't know. And then that song. What was the song? Smooth Criminal. Jesus Christ. You know, when that song came out, over and over and over. And by the way, I always, from the moment that song came out, and MJ was a revolutionary who was turned into a villain. What do you mean about that movie? Moonwalk. I think it was Moonwalk, right? That's also one of the few movies that I watched in the cinema. And I didn't know how a cinema worked, so we went to the cinema, and then those pre-stories or those teaser videos or, you know, those video clips came up, and then I thought, damn it, we're in the wrong movie. And anyway, totally irrelevant. But when people start talking about older stuff, it also brings up memories, experiences. And I'm still pretty lucky not running into people. Oh, I'm already speaking for 1 hour. Anyway, I am now at the Fantastico, the supermarket. And I think I'm going to treat myself, because I already did pretty much everything that I wanted and, let's say, have to. I don't have to do anything. Want to, yes, because I'm... No, MJ was a good guy. Oh, yeah. That's actually very funny that you mentioned this thing, because I even had a debate with myself under the shower, and I'm not bullshitting you. The thing is, I was thinking about, even if he would have done it, but I don't believe it. And I also thought at the same time about Tupac, you know, getting accused of raping women. That those kind of people, they don't have to rape women, you know, or touching children. Well, you know, I really think if you, then you would, you know, if you're genius enough to create what you're creating on the highest level possible, which is, you know, when I think about Michael Jackson, it's almost an alien, right? It's not humane what he did, you know. Pretty much most of his songs are freaking bangers. And the thing is, and then you touch, that doesn't make sense, right? But okay, who am I? I don't know. I haven't been there, but I think that would be ridiculous. A person with that level of creativity, not only creativity but also extremely disciplined. If you look at Michael Jackson, the way he moves, that is also like a freaking like an alien, right? Who moves like that? Who comes up with moonwalk or any kind of moves that he had? Grabbed himself by the nuts and does this move. How do you come up with that kind of stuff, right? I could, you know, when I think about it, you know, those people are geniuses, and then they get accused of blah blah blah. And what is the deeper reason? What kind of people are busy with pulling people down? And I don't want to think about in words like, you know, Matrix and that kind of stuff. You know, they're simply groups of people. They're probably, you know, trying to keep people in line or something, especially when they go outside the normality. And like I said, you know, people like Michael Jackson, you know, making moves like that's insane, right? You come up with all kind of stuff simply by doing it obsessively, you know. Oh yeah, that song is... Yeah, to be very honest, when it's about that song, we care about us. When it's about that song, the more I still listen to it once in a while, and the more often I listen, or you know, that I listen again, it makes more and more sense over the years. In the first place, when I saw it the first time, it didn't make as much sense. It was more visual, and oh no, there was the song Black or White. That was very visual. also dance with the Indians, right? And then those faces change. Really care about us. Yeah, oh yeah, that's with his drums. Very impressive also. How do you come up with this kind of stuff, right? And also the way he dances around between those people. You know, he goes totally all the way. You know, there is, you know, he's probably busy for days and days, you know, just trying to make some moves and try to feel stuff. And then he makes moves that people think, wow, that is insane. I think that is dedication. That is dedication on a level that, let's say, normal civilians like us, we need not even comprehend 1% of it. That's what I think. But who am I? I'm just a random idiot. And the thing is, you know, those people, mamma mia, what's going on in their heads? Actually, also a few days ago, I watched again a lot of video clips of not Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, you know, and one Whitney Houston performance, and then she does it in Africa. She's wearing this golden outfit, and then she drops her handkerchief on the floor, and then Bobby Brown picks it up, and then she takes a break. She does this song, I Will Always Love You, and I think those people are so in control of their skill, you know, just stop the music, Bobby Brown picks it up. Of course, maybe it's you know, scripted or whatever, but the thing is I think that is so incredibly admirable. Yeah, that's why those people also have the fan base. But you know, to get to that level, it's insane. Very insane. Anyway, I think I'm gonna stop talking. I'm already talking for 1 hour and 6 minutes. Or no, I cannot film inside because I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable. Maybe I will. Where shall I go? Because I'm going a little bit outside. Oh, somebody actually makes a picture of me from the car. But anyway, sometimes that happens. Well, Mr. Dharam Veer Singh, was nice speaking to you. Yeah, that's also something, huh? When you do those live streams, you also never know which direction. And I think that is also more raw and real. You know, I started vlogging, you know, just being as real as possible, speak as real, try to improve my speaking. That is the main thing, try to improve my speaking. And the thing is now with the live streaming, you know, people pop up in the chat. I think it's very, very nice. Like this, I can just, you know, speaking. Mr. Dharam Veer Singh. Yeah, maybe if you want, connect with me on Instagram, if you want. I do a lot of chats and a lot of video calls. Maybe it's interesting, maybe not. Okay, I'm gonna close this one and I'm going back to the Airbnb, and then I'm gonna develop some more scenarios on make.com to automate a lot of stuff. Okay, I'm out. It was fun. Ciao for now.